You're on the Six Screens Network, earning the reputation of giving all the right ingredients, uninhibited, and exposing the hard, cold facts about the Watchtower Society. Disney.
Well, hello, everyone, and welcome in once again to JW World News. Well, of course, that's the news the Watchtower doesn't want us talking about. Well, my name's Rick Farron. I'm here at the apostate capital of the world, right up here in Boston, Massachusetts, and I'm so happy to see so many people coming into the Six Screens tonight. Boy, I'll tell you, we've been doing this now going on 20 years. January 26, 2025, it'll be 20 years. And folks, I have to tell you, it was an iffy thing. I didn't know if I was going to be able to do the program tonight or not. Last week, some of you guys noticed that I was getting a little bit, hoarse. I was calling it laryngitis. I could hardly even speak. And so anyways, I went to bed that night. I woke up Sunday morning and it was terrible. I couldn't talk. I could hardly breathe. And so that went on all Sunday. I couldn't do Sunday programming because I couldn't even talk. And then Monday I got up. I went to the walk-in clinic. And guess what? I landed up with pneumonia. And they said COVID. But I think it was mostly pneumonia. And I'll tell you, it was brutal. I couldn't hardly even say a word. I'm better now. It's so those people that were calling me and I didn't answer on the phone, I couldn't talk. I couldn't talk to even my wife hardly. It was just too much. I had to do hand signals. So anyways, that's what happened. But I'm doing better tonight. And I didn't want to miss the program. So we're here. We gotta keep this rolling. We gotta keep it rolling at least to January 26th. That'll give us a solid 20 years of never missing a program. So anyways, I'm glad you're with us. And we have so many things we can talk about here tonight. And I want you guys too to be able to talk many things with me here. That's what we have. We have a format where you can call in. In fact, I'm going to put the telephone number up in just a little while. So you'll be able to call into the program. We can talk and we can chat. But just a few things to remind you of. We do a couple of things here every week on the Six Screens. It's gaining momentum. First of all, I wanted to mention to people that we have the duck, the little rubber ducky, right? You hear this noise. You hear that noise. That's the duck sound. We have a secret envelope. And if you call into the program and you say the word that's in the envelope, the word or the phrase that's in the envelope, you win a prize. As a matter of fact, you get 5 points right off the bat. If you call up the program, you get 5 points right off the bat. And that gets you a free book. We have books to give out. We look at this book here. This is Judge Rutherford's book, By Way of Paradise. Did you ever see this book? I want to thank Jim Hill for giving us these books. This book is absurd. This is a book depicting life after, when the new system comes in, life on Paradise Earth. That's what is the new world. It's craziest book you probably ever wanted to read. We have so many books. I want to give them away. We have this book right here, A People for His Name. We got 10, 15 publications that Jim Hill, we all know him as Nathan Natus, has sent us. So what we do here, if you say the secret word, just calling up and saying it randomly, you get 5 points. Now, if no one says the secret word at the end of the program, I'm going to give you some clues. And then you can get points for your answers. Now, what I want you to do is keep score for yourself. I can't take the time to keep score for everybody. So you run the honor system. So the first one to get 12 points gets $100. We've already given $100 away to Nadine out in California. Now, she's also in the running. She's the champion so far as well. So if you get 12 points, you add them up accumulatively. You won't get them all in one night. Might take a few nights to get them. But you can win $100. So give it a shot. And if you get 5 points, you get a book. And if you get 2 points, you get magnets. So we'll see what happens tonight. We'll give you clues if nobody gets it at the end of the program. And the other thing I want to mention is we have been really doing well with our convention tickets. We got about 300 people so far. Did someone want to say something? I'm just going to mute you. All right, hold on one second. And yeah, if you want to speak up, you hit *6, but then unmute yourself. So, anyways, I want to say we're getting people that want to come to the convention. We're up to about 300 people right now and growing. And some of you folks got tickets this week. And you see tickets right when I email you the tickets, you'll see the number right at the bottom of the ticket. So you want to either, take a picture of that ticket at least. And when you come to the convention, you'll be assured if you're under 300 people, when we're getting very close, you'll at least get a seat in the main auditorium. All right, we're about 286, 287. So get the email in, JW World News. You want to write it to. The tickets are free. You can come to the convention for free. You just have to pay for your hotel and your airfare, your travel out here. But you want to come. We have some really good speakers that'll be speaking. It's going to be a 3-day convention, a 3-day ex-Jehovah's Witness convention. I'm going to put up here, if you want more information about the convention, what you're going to do is go to our website, 6screensofthewatchtower.com, and you'll be able to find out everything you want to know about the convention, where it is going to be, the hotel room, the discount rate, all of that. So I'm going to have that scroll across the bottom as we speak. Go ahead and write me if you're interested in tickets. jwworldnews@gmail.com. What a time we're going to have. Try to come here and be with us. It's going to be August 1st, 2nd, and 3rd of 2025. The theme of the convention is Still Alive in 2025. So see if you can make it. We'd love to have you come up here and be with us in the Boston area. Now, I had a family the other day. They're going to come up here on vacation. They said, Rick, we haven't been up to Boston, and we'd love to come up there and see the history and see the mountains and see the seashore. We'd love to come up and be there. So they're going to come up on vacation, and yet at the same time, they're going to come to the convention. So we're looking forward to that. All right, let me take a look here. Let's see what's going on behind the curtains. Let me. Yes, go ahead. Who's this, Thomas?
Hi, Rick. This is Keith Bush from California.
Yes, Keith.
How you doing?
I'm good.
How's the show going?
Oh, the show's going. I mean, 100%. It's wonderful.
Yes. Have you been doing it since 1914, or just a little bit longer than that?
Actually, just a little bit longer than that. Yeah.
Well, I really appreciate your show. I just wondered, when's it again? When's the convention?
The convention's going to be August 1st, 2nd, and 3rd, 2025. Coming up next year. Yeah, not next year, but yeah, next year. Yeah, next year.
Do you have to register?
No, you just have to write me and get a ticket, and I'll get your ticket. I'll get your ticket, and you have to come up here. It's at the Hilton Hotel. It's right outside of Boston. And you get a discount. It's not cheap. Normally the rooms go for $250, but if you use a special discount, you get it for $175. But they tell me a good breakfast is included too. So yeah, so it's something. It's going to be a 3-day convention. We're going to have witnesses coming in. I got a bunch of people coming in from overseas, from Ireland, New Zealand, and they're coming in Australia, and they're going to meet.
How many people do you suppose will show up?
Well, right now we're up at 285, 286, somewhere around there. But now some of these people might not be able to make it. Some things happen.
Right.
But at least they got their tickets, and I'm sure more will want to come as the days draw closer.
All right. Thank you so much for all you're doing, and I love your show. Thanks a lot.
Well, thank you very much. Yeah. All right. So there you go. So write me and get your tickets, friends. Do you want an adrenaline rush? Do you really want to feel? Do you really want to feel good, even if you're feeling crappy? If you come to this convention, you're going to be hitting your head on the doorpost on the way out. You're going to say, "Man, what a thrilling event that was! Being with fellow people that understand me, people that connect with the way I feel." Now, does the rest of the world connect with the way you feel? You have to get an ex-Jehovah's Witness to feel the feel. Okay, you gotta really get that connection. So you're gonna get that connection up here. You're gonna get people that really are your brothers and sisters, and experiencing the same experiences that you experienced being in the Watchtower. Well, I got thinking, we are looking at, I know I bring it up every week, and I'm not trying to sound like a broken record, but we bring it up every week that, well, the Watchtower is in its final stages of collapse. We are counting down the last days of the Watchtower. Now, you might say, come on, Rick, are you looking through rose colored glasses? I'm not. I am looking at a deteriorating organization. I'm looking at an organization that is now on life support. I have to tell you, the Watchtower is dead. It just hasn't fallen over yet. Now, I've seen some information. We've talked here about the 5 stages of a business collapse. And I love studying that because it's so easy to tell when a business is going under. It really, really is if you know what to look for. I'm going to give you some things to look for tonight when you know a business is going under. And first of all, I'm going to kind of relate it all to the Watchtower because they're going under too, and we should see it. I see it, and I want you guys to see it too. So I'm going to use some illustrations here that may bring you to an understanding of how this whole thing is going to collapse. Now, the first thing you got to do when you're noticing a collapse of a business is you got to realize that their customer service stinks. Their customer service stinks. Their customer service is collapsing. There's really no customer service in a business that's collapsing. Jehovah's Witnesses are no different. What the organization is doing right now is they are seeing members slowly declining, and this has been going on for a few years, and they are not in any way giving any beneficial service, any good customer service to the rank and file Jehovah's Witnesses. There's no beneficial service there. All the Jehovah's Witnesses are getting is guilt and shame, fear, and they are getting hatred from the Watchtower. So it's just very much like a business. I'm going to use the example of Sears Roebuck. I mean, there's numerous businesses we know that have gone under, but you guys all remember Sears, right? I mean, that was the predominant. Sears Roebuck was the place to go if you wanted to go shopping. Geez, you could buy your food, you could buy your parts for your car, you could buy tires, you could buy a battery, you could get anything you want. They were so big and they were so mighty and so powerful. Everybody went to Sears Roebuck. You buy your clothes, everything you wanted under one roof. What, in goodness name's sake, happened to Sears Roebuck? But I noticed because I loved it. In fact, that was one of the first credit cards I ever had. Was a Sears card. I love Sears Roebuck. And I used to go there and boy, I used to put a smile on my face. But when they started having trouble, I started noticing their service stunk. Their customer service stunk. So this is a heads up. When you see customer service collapse, something's up. Something is up. Now, I'm just going to use the example. Let's take a look at a well-run company today where the customer service is El Primo. Let's take a look at Amazon. Amazon is top-notch. Who doesn't like Amazon? And the service is wonderful. They're not going anywhere. They're going to be around for a long time. But I noticed it with Sears and Roebuck. So that's the first thing you're going to see. You're going to see customer service tanking. And I'm seeing that in the Watchtower. I'm drawing an analogy here. I'm seeing in the Watchtower, their customer service stinks. They're giving nothing, zero, no benefits, no encouragement, no little bonuses, nothing to the Jehovah's Witnesses. They're getting diddly squat. And this has been going on for a few years. Now, you have to also notice, not just does the customer service stink, you have to notice the product consolidation. Well, what is that you're saying? Product consolidation. Well, you're looking here at, if you have a failing retail store, they start to have fewer things to sell. Yeah. I mean, I noticed that with Sears. All of a sudden, I used to buy Die Hard batteries. Well, they sold the Die Hard battery company to somebody else. So you couldn't even buy a diehard battery there. So what you're noticing here is product consolidation. Businesses that are going out, they begin to cut back on the amount of products they have. Now, haven't we noticed that with the Watchtower? And I want you to listen to this. This is serious. The Watchtower has done something very much the same. They have cut back on their religious product. Now, we know they cut back on the book study. Remember, we used to have the book study in people's homes. The book study is gone. We have limited amounts of magazines. Really, no books are being printed. In their online content is significantly less meaningful than it used to be. So they're really cutting back on their products. They're consolidating. They're not putting as much time and effort into the products that they used to give us. Look at when we went to the convention years ago. How many books did we get? I mean, you're lucky today if you're witness to get a book at a convention. They don't hardly do it anymore. But I can remember going to some conventions. They had 3 and 4 books. Yeah, 3 and 4 books you'd get. We all walked out of there saying, wow, look at this. That's no more. That's gone. So these are things you look for. We're looking at the stages of collapse. We're seeing this. We're seeing the Watchtower follow in the footsteps of Sears Roebuck. That's what I'm seeing here. Now, I hope you guys see it as well. Now, another thing to bear in mind is you have to look at employee layoffs. Now, if you have a company that's going under, you're going to have a lot of layoffs. Obviously, you're going to have a lot of layoffs. And since the late 1990s, Jehovah's Witnesses have been eliminating roles that cost them money. Yeah. Just having a Bethelite costs them money, even though they don't pay them much. They don't even pay them a stipend amount of money, but it costs them to, house the Bethelite, feed the Bethelite, help the Bethelite out with stipend amount of money. There's certain services they get where the Watchtower pays for it. So you've got, you got them laying off a lot of people. And so since the late 1990s, they've been eliminating a lot of Bethelites. As a matter of fact, there's been a purge from many Bethel locations. It got started, like I say, back in the 1990s, and it continues to this day of laying off. So, I mean, just stop and think about, businesses, when they're going under, they don't need the people, right? I mean, it's just pure sense. So now also we take a look at all of these Bethelites that are laid off. I think about the district overseers. We don't, Jehovah's Witnesses don't have district overseers anymore. You kidding me? They got rid of them. It's too costly. They were completely eliminated. Many special pioneers, they were progressively eliminated. And circuit overseers, they've been eliminated through circuit consolidation and age limits. Remember a few years ago, we talked about circuit overseers, 72, they got to call it quits. Yeah, that's it. Even if they're healthy and strong. Excuse me. They have to call it quits. So we have circuit consolidation. Yeah, now, what does that mean? Well, what it means is this. In Jehovah's Witness organization, at least when I was a full-fledged card-carrying witness, a circuit overseer used to visit, on average, 22 congregations. That was the average amount of congregations that made up a circuit. So what they did now is they added more congregations to the circuit. So consequently, what it does, it's not that they really gave you more numbers, but they consolidated. So if you had 22 congregations, it would cut it back to, one congregation is not having that many people come. So let's send them to congregation B. So congregation A and B become one. So that cut back on the amount of circuits. So that means that cut back on the amount of circuit overseers. So they've been playing this game for a long time. They've been playing it for a long time, laying people off. That's what they've been doing. Now, how about selling empty stores? If a business like Sears Roebuck is going out and under. They begin to sell their property off, trying to raise cash. Do we see anything like that happening in the Watchtower? Well, of course we do. Of course we see that. We see Kingdom Halls and other branch properties around the world continuing to be sold. This is happening globally, and it's been happening for 25 years. So we're seeing the closing of stores or Kingdom Halls. That's what a business does. Do you remember when Kmart went out of business? Do you have an empty Kmart in your neighborhood? I do here in Massachusetts where I live. You probably do too. They haven't sold the building off yet. It's for sale. No one's bought it. So these are signs. What I'm trying to do is give you signs. I'm trying to show you the similarities between a business collapse and a religious collapse like the Watchtower. All right, so we got those points covered. How about positive leadership messages? All right, now this I want you to think about. This is a trick the Watchtower uses. This is a trick the big guys in business use as well. They're going to give you positive leadership messages as they're going down the tube, as their business is totally collapsing. They're going to tell you that they're doing wonderful. That's what businesses do. Now, I don't know if anyone remembers Enron. That was a big oil company. And, well, actually, a natural gas and a utility. Let's go to utility because they sold electricity. It was out in California. It was Enron. And in the late 80s, early 90s, they went out of business. They were big on the stock market. They were a huge company. And if anyone has ever studied Enron, you can see what they did in their final stages of their business collapse. They were telling the stockholders they were doing wonderful. Oh, our business is great. We are selling electricity. We're strong. And at the same time, just a few months later, they went bankrupt. So what you have is the Watchtower organization doing the same thing. Their leadership continues to say positive things. That's what the Watchtower is doing. Look at what they just did last week when they released the new figures for the year, the new service year. Oh, we're doing wonderful. Oh, Jehovah's Chariots on the move. So this is things I wanted to discuss with you tonight, just from a pure business viewpoint. It's very much the same as a business. So, they'll continue as they're going down the tubes to say the organization is strong. We're growing. We're being directly blessed by God. And the harsh reality is it's the very opposite. The very opposite. They're going down the tubes. So, the Jehovah's Witness leadership in the governing body, they're using the same playbook that every struggling corporation has used for decades. It's nothing different. So that's my little monologue for the night. I have to tell you, that's exactly how I feel about it. And, I've been saying this right along. I talked about the 5 stages of collapse. I've talked about this for many years here in the 6 screens, but I'm seeing it so clearly now. So clearly, we are seeing the death of the organization. As a matter of fact, I believe the organization is dead. It just hasn't fallen over yet. What do you guys think? Let me get your thoughts on it. What do you think? Why don't you let me know what you feel? You see any similarities? Do you believe the Watchtower is going down? Do you believe that there's any life for the Watchtower here afterwards? I'd love to hear from you. Go ahead, hit *6 on your telephone pad. Let me know what you think. You think the Watchtower's in trouble? I mean, do you agree with what
Absolutely.
There you go, Dallas. What do you tell me? What do you think? Do you see? I mean, did you know Sears and Roebuck? Did you ever shop there?
I think I have, but despite being a millennial of the millennial generation, I'll surprise you with an answer. Even though I'm of the millennial generation, you may not expect it. I'll give you an example.
All right.
W.T. Grant.
Well, that's a good example. That's a good example. Yeah.
When they would expect with their store credit, extending it to anyone despite it whether they could pay it back or not.
You're exactly right. They extended credit out to everybody, and it got them in trouble. And I'm thinking of other companies here as well. I'm thinking of Circuit City. I'm thinking of Montgomery Ward. I'm thinking of Blockbuster. I'm thinking of Radio Shack. These are all businesses that were predominant. They were the leaders in the field that did. Yeah. Who would like to say us? Thank you, Dallas. Thank you very much. Who would like to speak up? You're on with us.
Yeah, Rick, for sure the Watchtower is folding. And it's folding under the weight of all the lies that they've told, the prophecies that didn't happen, the fact that the internet is out there exposing them, stick screens and all the YouTubers. There's so many people with knowledge that the Watchtower is a fraud and can prove it. And it's one thing to just say, well, you know, they're a false prophet. But we can prove it. And we're proving it all the time. So is the Watchtower going out of business? They're going out. And my feeling is that all these governing body members already have a plan they're going to execute to get out of there with all the money they can. And you won't be able to find them. It'd be like the Nazis at the end of World War II. They're all going to be in Bolivia or places like that. They've got a game plan because they know they're going down. They absolutely know they're going down. It won't be long, Rick. Thank you.
Well, Dick, before you leave, let me ask you a question. Did you like Sears and Roebuck?
I did. Yeah, right on Plain Street.
Yeah.
I did a lot of shopping there.
Yeah, I know it was. And I was over by there today. Of course, it's not there. There's a Target store there now. But see the similarities. It was a good store. Whoever thought it would go under. And I want to apologize. I know you called me this week. I couldn't call you back. I couldn't talk.
I understood that. You have to apologize for anything.
But
and I want to thank you for really from back, I think it was around 2001 when I met you at that Holiday Inn where you were doing a little talk on the Watchtower. I hope I'm the first guy you brought out of the cult. Maybe I was, maybe there's somebody else, but I'm thrilled to be out of there, and I'm thrilled that I met you.
well, thank you. I think, in fact, I know you're the first. I'm going to give you the pin here tonight. You're the first I brought out of the cult, and that's a better feeling. You know, Dick, I brought 5 people into the organization. That's a hurtful feeling, but I get a smile on my face when I know I help you get out. But boy, I'll tell you, we all out there have probably brought people in. I remember you. Well, I won't use his name here tonight, but there was one man, you know who I'm talking about. He brought 72 people into the organization. And when he told me that up at the old house we used to meet at, Dick, and he started crying. He started crying when he told me that. That bothered him so much that he brought 72 people into the Jehovah's Witness religion. Isn't that something, huh?
Yeah, it is. I know who you're talking about, man. I hope he's doing well.
Thank you.
Listening.
Well, I think he is. That's why I gotta be very careful. Gotta be very careful because he's a good guy. We love him. Yep. All right. So hey, you're on JW World News. You're on the news. The Watchtower doesn't want you talking about, but we talk about it here. So all these once great companies, I'm not going to call the Watchtower great, but it was at one time, it was something else. I mean, the Jehovah's Witness organization, they could fill Yankee Stadium. They could fill the Polo Grounds. They could have people coming to the meetings all over the place. But it's all a veneer right now. They're trying to make, yes.
How's it going? This is King of the Dot.
Well, King of the Dot's always good to hear from you.
Well, you talked about Sears, and this is the time of year when I'm missing, again, that Sears catalog for Christmas. When you could, well, of course, you probably never saw that because you were raised a witness, but this was what every kid wanted to look at. And our parents would let us pick stuff out of the Sears Christmas catalog. It was the greatest treat of all. But I will say about the business model of Watchtower, they have tried to change it. But when you lure people into a religion by giving away free stuff, you're not going to do very well. In fact, I've heard elders claim that witnesses are the stingiest people in the world. And in fact, I've heard other elders at a hall I went to, they would watch the bros and claim they were thieves. They would try to scarf up as much stuff as they could at the assemblies and things. And it's like, well, I'm sorry, those are the type of people you want, apparently, because we were giving away the books, the literature, the magazines. And I think that might have been their way of trying to clear out these people from the organization. Of course, they never gave away anything as far as Jesus is concerned, because didn't he carry around a box for the poor of monies? Judas took care of it and stole out of it. But they don't do that. They don't give anything to anybody anymore. They just want. They take now. So this is what you call a total juxtaposition of a business model. And unlike other people, I don't see them going away. I see them as just being a small organization. That's exactly what they're going to be. And, I mean, the Quakers haven't gone away. The Seventh-day Adventists has actually tripled their size in the last 25 years, which shocks me because they are somewhat like the witnesses. My son's daughter, she was raised Seventh-day Adventist, and they are as bad as the witnesses. You can't eat meat. They have strict dietary regimens. I guess they do the Jewish holidays, all that stuff. I was telling people on the live stream, my stepson who left when he was about 16, we let him go to a relative's house. He didn't want to go to the Kingdom Hall anymore. He broke his neck last Sunday, and he had an operation 2 days ago. He was suffering right side paralysis, but he's completely healed now. His paralysis is completely gone. He broke the C6 vertebrae, and they repaired it. But the thing is, my wife informed me a couple hours ago that he claims he was in his own apartment by himself. He claims somebody pushed him or something. So now this isn't, I'm not going to, look, when I first came into Witnesses, a warlock introduced me to them. And I learned a lot about the demonized people. And I studied with a wizard. Every time I befriend him, bad things happen to me. So I know there are possibilities here, and a lot of strange things have happened. I'm not even going to go there, but the fact is, he's well now, and it's like a miracle. At least that's how we're considering it. Of course, he was a yoga instructor and a bicycle racer in top physical condition. I mean, he was a fat little kid as a witness. Being a witness will make anybody fat, quite frankly. But he, on his own, got his act together. So I'm proud of him, and I'm glad he got through this kerfluffle with his broken neck. But again, I'm not convinced Watchtower will ever officially go away because they're too stubborn. My younger brother is an elder. Another guy I studied with is an elder, and they're not going anywhere. They've got family in, and they're stubborn people. They want to prove you wrong. They don't want to ever appear to be wrong. It's a terrible position to be in because pride comes before a crash for them individually, maybe not for the organization. So that's my 2 cents worth tonight, Rick. I appreciate getting to hear you again, that you survived your problem this week.
Well, thank you very much. And boy, I'll tell you what, though. I mean,
I'm not going to let you die, man.
Well, thank you, but I'll tell you what. I mean, that's nothing compared to the poor young man that broke his neck. Jeez, that's terrible. I'm glad he's recovering. Yeah. Jeez.
Yeah, he's totally recovered. That's all I can say. It's a great thing. Okay, Rick. I will listen on, and you talk to somebody else. Okay?
Well, you're a good man, King of Dots. Always good to hear from you.
Thank you so much.
Well, thank you. All right, who's with us? I think we got, what is that, Iowa? I think Iowa. I think it's Jeffrey. Yes, Jeffrey.
Yeah.
Yeah, Rick. Yeah, I think they'll get through the storm. I think they'll survive. I think they've stole enough money from people through the years, and they got a lot of real estate to sell off. I think they'll survive, like a lot of these other religions that have downplayed or gone down, and they'll always be there, but they're going to be greatly reduced. But unfortunately, they're going to survive this. I mean, I hope they don't. I hope they go out of business. I hope they all go to jail. But as far as the governing body, but that's my opinion.
Well, let me ask you, Jeffrey, did you shop at Sears Roebuck?
I did in the past. Yes, sir.
Did you like it?
Yes, I did. Yeah, but you're right. Their customer service went to hell, and went bad.
Well, see, that's where we use the analogy, and so many people, excuse me, so many people, and I understand what you're saying, and understand people are saying it's going to get smaller, and that is a possibility. But the Watchtower, as we know it, the controlling arm of the Jehovah's Witnesses, is going to be reduced to really no power, no control. There may be some splinter groups on their own doing things kind of like the Bible students today. That's what I feel. But look and most people listening to this program, there's a lot of people that want to reform the Watchtower. We want to reform it. I don't want to reform it. And Jeff, I know you're on my side. We want to put these bums out of business. These guys have hurt so many people. Thank you, Jeff.
Yes, we do. I hope they go down like a rock.
Good.
Yep.
Well, that's what I like to hear.
Thank you.
All right, you're on JW World News. Listen, why don't you call in? Let us know what you think. Let us know what's on your mind. You guys have got thoughts. I can sit here and I can bloviate all night long. You hear from our callers. We love to have them call in. But I'm sure you have thoughts you'd like to add to the program here as well. Let's go to 248. Yeah, 248. John, you're on with us, John.
Yes, Rick. I agree with Q the Doctor and the other gentleman that they're still going to be around, but also agree with what you alluded to as well, is that they're just going to be smaller and less powerful. But I think what's keeping them afloat as well is that the real estate, and also, of course, as you're aware, that they're very connected to the government. I still think they probably are part of the United Nations. They have not defense contracts, but they're invested in defense contracts. So I think that they have made the right moves regarding having governmental influence to survive along with their real estate portfolio.
Well, that makes sense. That makes sense, John.
But also, I agree with you as well that they're going to have less influence as far as power, influencing people. That I think is going to change because of the fact that probably is going to just be an online religion. And essentially it's going to be a situation where people just stay home and call in and, pray into a online show or something of that nature. But as far as them having influence over people's lives, that's going to be very difficult to do when they are going to not eliminate, but they're going to lessen the meetings and so forth. So I think that that's going to affect them having influence over people's lives because they can't really be hands-on.
Well, I appreciate your little overview of this, John. I appreciate your thoughts on that. You seem to be right on target with a lot of this. You've been connected to Watchtower like I was for many years. And in some respects, we kind of know the Watchtower inside out and backwards. And especially even being out of the Watchtower. I know more about the Watchtower now than I did when I was in there. And I think that's the same thing with you, John, right?
Absolutely. I know more now than I did then because basically you and I were just going along with the program because we were raised in it. So consequently, we didn't try to question anything. We just went along. But I got a question for you, Rick. Do you prefer when we had the congregation overseer or the elder arrangement that they instituted in 1972?
I do prefer the presiding overseer. I think that it was better run. I believe that, when you put too many cooks in the kitchen, John, what happens, right? The meal gets ruined. The meal gets ruined. And that's exactly what happened. But John, tell me now, why do you think in 1972 they came up with the elder arrangement? Why do you think that, John?
My thoughts on it is the fact that, Nathan Noah was an excellent organizer. As you know, very excellent organizer. As a matter of fact, the organization grew tremendously during the 1950s and 60s. By the time of 72, his influence may have lessened. And I think it was a situation, also could be a situation where they really could not have another Nathan Noah take over since he was on he left, I think, in 77, I believe. So I think maybe perhaps they figured that they need to have like a committee of men running an organization because they didn't have the genius of a Nathan Noah. That's just what I'm thinking. What do you think?
Well, I'll tell you, I often think about it. 1972 was the year that the elder arrangement started. They started planning it in 71. But also in 1972, they came out with the prohibition on smoking. Now, I never smoked, and I certainly don't advocate smoking. But, for those poor witnesses that were smoking, all of a sudden they had 6 months to give up. And this happened right around the same time as the elder arrangement came into place. So my feelings on all of this is what you had to do. You had to bring, and it was in terms of, it was an excellent move for the Watchtower. I mean, it really worked for them. So you take all of these men that many of them never had any responsibility in life. They didn't know how to really run a business or do anything. All of a sudden, they are now elders, and they're in charge of the congregation. So you got 5, 6 elders now, rather than one presiding overseer. Now what you got to do is you got to find a job for them. You gotta make sure that they can monitor things and keep people in Jehovah's organization. So then they come up with a cigarette law because they knew a lot of witnesses were smoking. So this kept them busy. This kept the elders busy. I mean, this is a well thought out arrangement in my way of thinking. So what you have here is you have to, if you're going to appoint elders, you got to give them a job. You just can't bring them and say, okay, you're an elder now. You got to give them, go after people. That's why they came up with the bedroom laws. That's why they came up with all this other cockamamie stuff, cannibalism. If you take a transplant, and this gave the elders a feeling of worth. It gave them a feeling of responsibility. Wow, my goodness gracious, we are needed here. That's just my thoughts, John.
Yeah, it makes sense. I tell you something, Rick, and you might concur with me what I'm getting ready to say. I have not seen anyone close to Nathan Noah. Nathan Noah was a brilliant organizer. I mean, he was flying everywhere. 1940s, he's organizing all these, Bethels all over the world. It grew tremendously during the 1950s and 60s under his leadership. I haven't seen anyone come close to Nathan Noah. What do you think?
No doubt no doubt but he was different than the Watchtower leaders we really have today. And he was even different than Rutherford and even Franz. He came across, in fact, if anything, I have to say he was probably the most sensible president of the Watchtower.
Yes.
Yeah, that's how I feel about it. But still, again, he was involved with that cult So I can't really give him too many kudos, but I think
Those were good years, though. Those were good years, and it was a totally different club.
well,
Yeah, I mean, he was also an excellent speaker. I've heard him many times at the assemblies. He was an excellent speaker.
And all those countries, and they were really running that thing. And my home life was good, and my congregation was ideal. And as soon as they put that elder arrangement in, they were bullying my dad, and he's like, "Well, we own this building, and
that's right.
I've been helping people for years," and it all kind of fell apart. It changed dramatically after that so-called elder arrangement with people that had no heart and no background in counseling or anything.
And I tell you, I that's why I wanted to ask Rick about the arrangement, because I had an excellent presiding overseer in my congregation. Excellent. He was a very sensible man. He wasn't arrogant. His wife played the piano for us when we sang the songs.
The good old days.
Yes, it was. Yes, it was. And he was an excellent leader over that. He ran that whole congregation. And when the elder arrangement came along, when the ministerial servant came along, it was just different. It wasn't as good in my opinion. That's why I wanted to ask Rick his opinion about it, because I feel the same way.
I could write a book on just that very thing.
Yeah, in fact, Pixie, back to John and Pixie, I have to tell you, really, if you really examine it closely, you felt good back then. That the presiding overseer that I had, I liked him so much. I liked that man so much that he was the best man at my wedding. Yes, he was. He was the best, and he was an honest, down to earth guy. And I can remember that he was so nice. He was like a father to me. And I liked him so much. I says, "You're going to be my best man." But I wouldn't think of an elder today to be my best man. I'll tell you that. But no.
Absolutely not.
No. Well,
and with the elder arrangement, they had this jockeying for position that you didn't have in the presiding overseer, because you only had one man over the whole congregation. And so different brothers took turns of, conducting the Bible study. Matter of fact, I don't know if you're aware of this, Rick, but what's his name? Mickey Spillane, he was a Jehovah's Witness. Did you know that?
Oh, yeah. I knew that.
Oh, yeah, I knew that. Yep.
Yeah. Mickey Spillane was he was conducting the book study. Of course,
and I know the man that studied with him.
Excuse me?
I know the man that studied with him.
Really? Okay. Very good. Yeah. Well, I tell you, Mickey Spillane he made the right decision in sticking to his writing career. He's an excellent writer. So he made the right career choice in being a writer and left the witnesses.
Well, he was a famous writer before he joined up. So maybe he...
Yes. But I'm glad he left the witnesses alone and stuck to his writing.
I wondered what happened. Thank you for that tidbit of info.
Well, you know what
I think you should do, Rick? I think you should make a little push-button bumper of Covington saying, "He's buried in Staten Island." And so the answer to everything that we can't answer, just press that button and Covington will tell us he's buried in Staten Island. That's the answer to everything.
Yeah, well, the interesting thing is I've got I've got a lot of tapes. Barbara sent me all kinds of stuff, and she wants her footprints here. She says, "Rick, I want you to put it here in the 6th screen so people can get in there." So we've got so much more of that stuff. I couldn't believe it. But I'll tell you what, the more we hear from these people, when you can actually hear them talking and how foolish they sound at times, it can really move a person to the exit door at the Kingdom Hall. And this was happening with
Covington was first class, though. He was first class.
Well, I do agree that there was some good people.
It's true. It was true.
Yeah, no, I agree. So that's where he was. But, I've had people in the last 20 years come on here and actually debate where Rutherford was buried. But we now understand he was buried in Staten Island. Yeah. Thank you, Pixie. So, Pixie, let me ask you, have you ever shopped at Sears Roebuck?
I loved Sears. And now Big Lots is going out of business.
It's all coming down. The whole world is changing so fast.
Big Lots. I haven't heard of that. So Big Lots is going out too. Huh? Jeez,
Yeah, yeah.
golly. Well, I mean, when we stop and think about it, and the reason why I even used that analogy tonight is even though you have this giant corporation, which Sears was, I mean, the Watchtower too. I mean, they're a pimple on a rhino's back compared to the Catholicism and Methodist and Southern Baptist, but nonetheless, they do make their presence. And people say, well, it's so big, Rick, they couldn't fail. But they said the same thing about some of these big companies. They're so big they couldn't fail. But look at them today; they're gone. They're gone.
Well, again, YouTube's got the 50th anniversary of the show called The Corporation. And it's easy to understand, and it was a great little Canadian show, and it explains what a corporation is. And the whole model of business has changed, and it's changed since 2020. Not that it wasn't changing before that. But whoever thought grocery delivery would come back? You're old enough to remember the grocery boy bringing the groceries.
Oh, yes. I remember that.
So I get that now. I have grocery delivery, and I love it. And it's worth having. And it's back, and people think it's new. The cinnamon roll. My people in the Great Depression made cinnamon rolls. It's our family favorite. Now they're going to have a chain of stores making cinnamon rolls, and the young people think it's new.
That is funny. That is funny.
It is. And I can't say enough about, cinnamon flavored fake maple syrup now. Everything is going to be a cinnamon roll. We're going to be in this utopia of cinnamon rolls as everything kind of collapses.
Well,
yes.
Well, let me throw this on the table, John and Pixie. So on the news this morning, I'm watching here in Boston, and there's a cookie store that opened in Boston. And so they're selling cookies. How much do you think a cookie cost up here in Boston? At this
$6?
$5.25
There you go.
for a cookie. For a cookie.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It must have original ingredients. It must be very rich.
Jeez. Well, that's the world we're living in, John. It's changing. I mean, if someone told you 10 years ago that you could pay $5.25 for a cookie, you'd say, what? John, did you ever see the movie Soylent Green with Charlton Heston? I'm sure Pixie probably knows about it.
My uncle was a chef. It was his favorite movie.
I knew you'd know about it, Pixie, but Charlton Heston, and I can still remember that movie. And so he's, this is supposed to be futuristic, and he walks into a store and he's looking at meat prices, and steak is going like for $20 a pound. That's what some steak's going for today. It's $20 a pound, and he's looking at peanut butter and jelly, $4 or $5 a bottle, a jar. That's what it is now. Cheers. Unreal. Unreal.
Well, we are in different times. I talked to a young man at a Whole Foods the other day as I was checking out, and I said, put that $4 green pepper back. I won't pay that. And I said, did you know you can grow green peppers on your windowsill of your apartment? And he said, really?
Unreal. But we're living in changing times. But that's why really all of this changing times has to be affecting the Watchtower too. And as we mentioned earlier, they've got to be feeling the adverse effects of having people there. Even though they don't pay them a lot of money, it still costs money to house a person, to put a person up, to pay electricity, to pay the heating bill. I'm sure they get some medical help to some degree, aspirins or whatever. They must have a nurse on duty. So the more, as the world progresses along and prices get higher, that's killing the Watchtower, strangling them, Pixie.
Well, I think they're going to be a globalist model, though. I can see them holding hands with the UN even more so. I don't know. They got a lot of countries. They got a lot of countries.
I agree with that too. I think that they're not. Of course, they never did make it public that they were part of the United Nations. They wanted to keep it secret, of course, until the Guardian article came out. However, I do think they're still associated with the United Nations. I really do.
Well, they're worth billions, and they have 200 plus countries that they have branches in, and that's I can't fathom it. That's a huge corporation. So we have to give credit where credit's due. That's huge.
Oh sure. Sure. And I think they made the right moves once they no longer had the membership as they once had during our day. That they have now expanded into real estate conglomerates, and now they still have the gravy, the money coming in, without the benefit of having, depending on the membership donations.
Well, now they want to charge everybody, every month, like a tithe. And
yes, something they say they would never do. They say they would never do that.
The other thing they do is, I have to say, for the new people, they hurt people, because not only have they emotionally hurt families, but again, I have to side with the women that don't have a voice. And the Diane Wilson book with the RH factor babies dying, and the pregnant women are the ones that need the blood transfusions in most of the medical cases more than any other subgroup. So these deaths aren't reported. A man in Japan who's a mathematician said maybe 2,000, but I have to think it might be more than that.
Mm-hmm. Yes, they've done a lot of harm, and it's still going on, unfortunately. This organization done a lot of harm to people, and I tell you, it's something that it's a sad situation. I just hope that our families would listen to us. That they're wasting their time. They're wasting their time.
I have rolled it around in my head, and I just have this strange kind of secret wish that there's a case that some state won't be able to solve, and that it would have to be in the U.S. Supreme Court, and that the Supremes would see it, that it was a witness case of some sort, and their jaws would all drop, because there were so many precedent cases from the witnesses, over 500 cases that the law students know of. And I just wish that the Supremes could know that the First Amendment is being used wrongly. They're hiding behind it.
That's a very good thought, and I think that you onto something there, because once they pay attention to that, they may open up a big can of worms. Yeah.
But I don't know how that would ever come about, because the First Amendment is so wonderful and so important.
Sure.
But they hide. They're hiding these abuses behind it.
Sure.
In my opinion, that's just my opinion.
No, I agree.
But if people can get free, that's their only. Really, your only option is to get yourself free, like the little Paul Simon song, and get yourself free and get your family free, and that you have the right and option to do that. And I think that's the best message, is freedom.
Well, that's where we have to go with it, Pixie. When you stop and think about it, and we hope people listening in take that message to heart. Well, thank you, Pixie. Thank you, John. Thank you for coming in today to the Six Screens, JW World News. We appreciate it. Hey, look, I want to give a shout out to Debbie Moore. Poor Debbie has been really suffering a lot. She needs your prayers. She needs your thoughts. And she's on there tonight on YouTube. And Debbie, we love you. And you just keep moving forward. You're a real trooper. And then we know you had a lot of difficulties, Debbie, a lot of difficulties. But may your thoughts and prayers, all of you folks, pray for Debbie, because she really does need a lot of help. She's been in and out of the hospital, and she's got a lot of situations going on. We love Debbie. Thank you. Another thing I wanted to redact last week, I came on here and I have news flashes as I give the news here. You don't see it, but people are writing me, Rick, say this, say that. So I got a flash come across concerning the Archbishop of Canterbury, and I wanted to redact something I said. I mentioned without really going too deep into the story because I couldn't. I did mention he was a Catholic, and he's not. The Archbishop of Canterbury is the Church of England. He's the Archbishop of that. And so I wanted to make that clear. I did mention last week that he was in Catholicism. So I stand corrected on that. And I did get numerous amounts of people write me on YouTube. Rick, what are you talking about? The Archbishop is not Catholic. You're right. You're right. But the story flashed across really quickly. I'm not going to give any excuses. I stand corrected. So thank you for correcting me. Let's see what else we got here. Okay, I want to mention something without getting too political. Well, we'll bring that up in a while. We'll bring that up in a little while. We have more news to discuss here. One thing I mention here a lot on the six screens is when it's one thing for all of us apostates to band together and expose the Watchtower, let the world know how ugly they are. So sometimes we don't get the world listening to us. Sometimes we're preaching to the choir, as I say. Sometimes we're only speaking to ex-witnesses. And once in a while, I know we did have some PMEs in here tonight, but once in a while we do get through. But I have to tell you, what really makes me a happy camper when I see countries. When I see countries coming down on the Watchtower, and I'm seeing this in Italy right now. Now, we can name all the countries: Norway, Denmark, Japan, United Kingdom, Russia, Belgium. We've got at least a dozen countries right now, Denmark, that are investigating the Jehovah's Witnesses. And now we have Italy, and they are now beginning to look into the fact, as they are hearing from other European nations. They are now hearing about all the pedophilia and the sex child abuse that's going on and being covered up in the Watchtower. So thank you, Italy, for coming to grips with all of that. So isn't that good? Isn't that good to see countries coming down the Watchtower? Yes.
Just real quick. Hey, this is Thomas Hudson. I hope you don't mind me bringing this up. Now we got a new president starting January 20th. He's a pretty tough guy. He wants things right. He wants people to get their lives in order. And I just wonder if we might be able to get something done about all the abuses through him and his cabinet. Maybe start out with a congressman and see if we can't get Trump to look into some of the stuff about the shunning and the pedophilia and the blood doctrine, how they're breaking up a lot of families. He wouldn't like that. I know Trump, just, by the way he believes and everything. I just wonder, to me, I think that's an excellent thing to look into. And maybe he'll recognize what's going on in these other countries. And I think that's why the witnesses are scared of Trump. I really believe that.
Well, as far as Trump and the Watchtower, I don't think Trump is going to really get into the First Amendment. I don't think he knows enough about the Watchtower. He really doesn't. I mean, if anything, he would kind of favor them. I mean, he bought their buildings, right, Tom?
Could be, but I'm talking about all the abuses and stuff. I mean, I recognize there's got to be a freedom. That's just going too far. That's what the other countries are saying. That's just my opinion. I don't know.
Yeah, well, no, it's a good thought, but I think that he would probably stay away from that. That's Tom. That's the biggest problem we have in this country is the First Amendment, and I mean it's not a problem, but when it comes to religion, they hang their hat on it, and they're able to get away with murder because of it. So the Watchtower uses it as a crutch. They use it as a hiding place. Well, don't come after us. We're a religion. We have the right to do this. So that has always been the issue, Tom. But you're right with what you're saying. But I want to bring something up with Trump. I'm not going to make it political at all because all I do is get chastised about that. And Rick, don't make it a political program. This is supposed to be on Jehovah's Witnesses, but I'm not making it political. I mean, the big elephant in the room, let's face it, Trump is now going to be the president. But I want to say that the Watchtower, before Trump was not inaugurated, before he was voted in as president, the Watchtower was saying that, first of all, let me tell you about their new teaching. We always learn that, that religion was going to be turned on, right? Babylon the Great was going to turn on religion, and then the Great Tribulation was going to start. I mean, if you're a witness and you're listening to what I just said, you'll agree with that. We all believe that, well, we're waiting for religion to be turned on. And when religion's turned on by Babylon the Great Tribulation is going to start. Well, the witnesses recently threw that out. They no longer go along with that doctrine. Their latest doctrine, and they came up with this prior to Trump being elected, they came up with the fact that the United Nations is going to gain the sovereignty of the world. And all of these countries were going to give their total sovereignty to the United Nations, and then the end will come. So that's an adjustment in Watchtower thinking and doctrine. But let me just clarify something, and I'm not trying to be political. President Trump is not going to kowtow to the United Nations. He's not a United Nations man. He doesn't go along with it all. So right there, I don't know what they were thinking when they made this new declaration on their religious doctrine, because it's not true. The United States is not, under the presidency of Donald Trump, is not going to give their sovereignty to the United Nations. So the Watchtower is going to have to eat crow for a little bit, at least 4 years. So that's my thoughts on it. But, I have to tell you, all of us listening here tonight, that's a change. I want you to mark that down. That's a change. We always thought that, well, when religion is turned upon by by the world powers and Babylon the Great, and that's going to be the end. Well, they change it, just like the Watchtower normally does. All right, so let's take a look. Let's see what else is going on behind the curtains of the Watchtower. All right, let's see what we got here. Let me scroll down. One thing I want to say about Italy too, investigating the witnesses. Their police force is very, very strong. It's almost like military police. And, they're not going to put up with Jehovah's Witness pedophiles. They're not. This country, sad to say, has put up with them and go through the court systems and all of that. Due process. Well, in Italy, they have due process too. But the police are a lot stronger. And they hear about pedophiles in congregations, they're going to come busting the doors down. So I think we're going to see some real action in Italy concerning the Watchtower having to be frightened on the reaction of the government concerning their pedophilia. And Italy now is getting very disturbed over the fact that they see other countries are now suggesting that this is a phenomena. This is a phenomena in their Jehovah's Witness religion, that they have so many pedophiles. So thank you, Italy, for wanting to at least look into this. So I want to bring that up. All right. So I want to bring this up too. I think this is kind of fascinating. As I go through the internet, I look at certain things that are going on in the world of the witnesses and the world of the ex-witness. There's an uptick. I wanted to bring this to your attention. There is an uptick in PMEs celebrating Thanksgiving at work. Now, an uptick in PMEs, those people that are physically in and mentally in. So we have Jehovah's Witnesses that are totally loyal. There's an uptick in them celebrating Thanksgiving at work. Now, what do you think about that? Anyone noticing that? But I've been noticing it on some of the, posts here, some of the witnesses writing on Facebook and what have you. They are conveniently partaking in holiday parties this year. Now, I mentioned this a while back when Halloween rolled around. a lot of witnesses really wanted to celebrate Halloween. Some of them were dressing up in costumes and going through the whole motions like a couple days before Halloween, a week or so before Halloween, and they figured they could, do their little Halloween celebration without doing it on Halloween Day. But now I'm seeing there's an uptick on Jehovah's Witnesses actually celebrating Thanksgiving at work. And, sometimes they have these little ceremonies and, the witnesses are participating. So they did it for Halloween and they did it here for Thanksgiving, as I'm reading now. But also, I'm realizing too that I want to bring this up even during the voting. Roll the clocks back a few weeks back. There was a lot of Jehovah's Witnesses that secretly went to the voting polls. What is going on in this religion? And now I'm wondering about Christmas. How many Jehovah's Witnesses will actually go to Christmas parties? Maybe if you're a PME listening in here, maybe you've anticipated this yourself. So I'm wondering what is causing this? What is causing this new way of doing business for Jehovah's Witnesses and actually getting involved in the celebration of holidays? Now, I'm not going to tell you they're going to celebrate it like the world, but boy, they are moving ever so closer to it. Now, this idea of Christmas, I think there's going to be a lot of witnesses this year celebrate Christmas. Excuse me for my voice here, friends. Like I say, this week I had pneumonia, so I'm having a little hard time with my voice. So just bear with me. Let me just cough it. Excuse me. So we have a lot of Jehovah's Witnesses, I believe, this year that will be celebrating Christmas. And, the reason why I'm thinking that is they're really putting a lot of attention on the birth of Jesus. And, at the conventions this year, this summer, they had a whole video there on the birth of Jesus and how important his birth was and what Jesus meant to the world. So, isn't this really the Christmas celebration? So I think you're going to see a lot of witnesses going to Christmas parties. I'm beginning to see that they're really not putting much credence in what the Watchtower has been telling them. They're saying, well, they've been changing rules anyways, so why not? Why can't I make some changes? What do you guys think? I'm just curious. Did you ever go to a Christmas party? Did you ever kind of secretly celebrate Thanksgiving? I'd like to hear what you have to say. What do you think, Dick?
Well, what I think, Rick, is they're going to allow people to do things that they want to do, celebrate Christmas, even the pagan holiday of Halloween. They're going to let them do it. And they're going to say, well, you know what? It's a matter of conscience. So they won't disfellowship. They won't mock anybody for doing it. That's down the road a little bit, but that's what I think is going to happen. Thank you.
Yeah, it's kind of weird, Dick. I really noticed this. I've been, I follow this stuff on a weekly basis. I check all the stuff online, posts, and what have you. But I'm seeing that witnesses are getting more into the celebratory stages here of celebrating holidays. And this has never happened. I know when I was a younger man, the company that I worked for, they had a Christmas party. And they invited me to go to the Christmas party. And, I just thought about it. I was a full-fledged witness, and it bothered my conscience. It really, really bothered my conscience. And I came home and I told my former wife that, the company really wants us to go to the Christmas party. But, we both agreed we can't go because we're Jehovah's Witnesses and we can't celebrate it. But then the company came back and said, Rick, it's not a Christmas party. It's a year-end party. And all of a sudden, things changed. And I told my former wife, and we kind of mustered up the courage, and we went to the Christmas party. It was a Christmas party. Believe me, it was a Christmas party. So I'm just thinking, how'd you guys do? Did you celebrate Christmas parties kind of secretly? Terry, what do you think? You're on with us. Go ahead. Not Terry. No, it's not Terry. I'm sorry. John, did you? Are you back there with us? Okay. We got Denver, Colorado. Denver, go ahead.
Yeah, Rick, I didn't celebrate the Christmas parties. We had them in a lot of the corporations I worked for, but we had a brother that said, here's what's weird. We would make the Christmas baskets because everybody got a turkey, a ham, a bottle of wine, and they'd fill these big baskets up with, give them to everybody at the end of the year. And so they did the same with us. They said, hey, Dan, this is a company party. We want to celebrate. We've had a good year. And I went to one, but the brother that was doing the baskets, he was the money guy. I don't know what they call him. But anyway, he said, if you'll remove the Christmas tree, then all of us could go, because he was a Jehovah's Witness. So they did. They moved it into another room. But when I was there, I loved it. I was like, wow, it wasn't so much the feeling of Christmas. It was really a thank you party. It was really like, hey, they were handing out bonuses to everybody. You stood in line and they reached out and shook your hand and said, thank you for a great year. They played movies about all the projects we did for the year. And it was truly a really wonderful celebration, but it was at Christmas time. And it just shows, like you say, Rick, the extreme nature of Watchtower and stuff that's normal to keep us out of the norm, to keep us out of the feeling the love. I felt so much love. I felt my work loved us and appreciated us. And they said, this is the way for us to show our appreciation toward you. And it's a really nice meal. And I was actually at 2 of them when I was a witness. And, but I was like you, I had to muster up the courage and everything. But when I was there, I felt it really wasn't, all about Christmas, they weren't playing Christmas music or anything. It was really a company party,
Well, Dan, no, it did bother us, though. It did bother us.
Yeah.
And one thing I always thought about, too, there's a lot of people that they just so blatantly, Jehovah's Witnesses blatantly will not touch a holiday with a 10-foot pole. But when it came to Christmas and getting a Christmas bonus, they were ready to accept that. that always amazed me. If you really were going to be that strict about it, you wouldn't take a Christmas bonus, right?
Yeah, and Rick, I don't know about you. Did you like the lights? I kind of like driving down the road and looking at the lights at the houses, and I used to like going to the malls. I even liked the music. I wasn't plugging my ears. I was like, wow, jingle bells. I'd actually get into the spirit of it, but your conscience is like, that's Christmas, or you had mentioned a turkey. My grandma would have a turkey, and she would say, I'm going to put it on a day that's, a day before, a day after Thanksgiving. But she would conveniently forget. One time she forgot. And so we went over to my grandma's house, and it was Thanksgiving. And I'm like, shit, man, check this out. There's a football game. There's a parade. I'm like, what is all this, Grandma? She said, well, that's what they do on Thanksgiving. They have the Macy's Day Parade. They have football games. And I said, man, this is a lot of excitement. This is a blast. I had no idea. Rick, we have really been, held back from things that are joyful, things that are loving, meeting with family. Yeah, every year we're doing a big Thanksgiving thing at our house this year with my ex-wife, with her mother, with all of them, and they all love me like family. We love them. There's nothing more than that. And we have this wonderful turkey together. They come, they bring me caramels and caramel corns, and we put on this big dinner. And I think, my God, I've had all this love my whole life that Watchtower stole from me. That told my mind it was a bad thing, and we were withheld so much love, Rick, so much love by Thanksgiving, Christmas, all these things. I know people still don't celebrate it because they feel it's pagan, but man, there's such occasions for love. We have a Thanksgiving party and we have a Christmas party, and we just do it to love everybody. We used to make baskets here. We used to make baskets for all our family. Go down and get the little cheeses, the little sausage, and the little this, and just give everybody a basket when they came over. And it was fun putting them together. It was fun, the expression of the love and the exchange of handing them all. Oh my God, thank you. Oh my God. And it's just so much love. I think, man, I missed out on 40 years of love, 40 years of love feasting with people, my family, those closest to me, that was stolen from us by these men. Isn't that sad, Rick? I did a thing today, Rick. I went on Claude. I don't know if you've ever went on Claude. It's an AI. And I typed in, I said, what kind of men? What would you label these men that like to control people, that run these organizations like Watchtower? And boy, it spit out a lot of stuff. But it just says they're small men. They're little men. Yeah, they're little men that hide behind power. It really spelled it out. I don't have my phone. Ansel has it, but it said they're little men that hide behind power, that love to hide behind false authority, that they're divine, and they like to take control of the vulnerable. And I said, wow. I mean, these new men, Rick, that are coming up in Watchtower, these new governing body, they're those kind of men that take advantage of vulnerable people. Can I say a little more?
Yeah, of course.
I was watching, Rick, the governing body, and you played it on your show, where the governing body is saying, we need Bethelites and we're going to lower the age. The guy was so full of shit. He was so full of BS, Rick. That's what bothers me the most. And he's like, let me find a scripture that will guilt these guys. It was the Bethelites. He was like, we need people in Bethel, and you can come there if you're younger. And he starts finding all these scriptures that says, now you want to be like so-and-so, don't you? You want to be like this person. And he reads the scripture. You don't want to be like that person. And Rick, I don't know why that bothers me. That bothers me more than anything, to watch men con people, to watch men manipulate people with sacredness. People go to religion in search of truth. People go to religion for comfort. People go to religion to have fellowship, not to be controlled and manipulated. And to see these men line up for these positions, it's appalling. That is what bothers me. I always say I'm never doing another video again. I'm not doing any more videos, right? And then I see the governing body lying, manipulating, not using the Bible to comfort, not using the Bible to say God loves you, not using the Bible in the proper way, but using it. We've heard it before in the show, weaponizing it. I don't know if that's the right word, but using it to coerce and control the vulnerable minds. And you know what Claude said? It said you had every reason to be disgusted with these people because of what they're doing. They said they're doing irrevocable damage. Nobody trusts religion. Nobody trusts men anymore. Nobody trusts anybody. They've burned our trust factors out. You know what I mean? I mean, it's devastating what Watchtower has done and is still doing. And that's what I guess bothers me the most, Rick. When I sit back, I think, how can they keep going? What kind of freaky people are these that work in governing body that would know there's a bunch of people in there that have been abused and misled and worked as workhorses and still want to work them and still want to work their asses into the ground and then throw them away when they're done? I just can't get over it. Can you, Rick? I mean, is that what keeps you going too?
Well, that's what you do. I mean, when someone has been that treacherous in your life, you can't stop talking about them. I mean, if you've been ripped off, you don't want other people to get ripped off. But I'm going to focus on what you said a little earlier. And, I'm so glad to hear you have family come together. And I know, Dan, you're a loving guy. Well, what's better than that? To have your family and the ones you love next to you. I mean, people would give everything for that. And that is something that is so dear to your heart. And yet at the same time, that's something the Watchtower wants to separate you from. Something that can be so good for you, may make your whole inner feelings melt and feel so. I know you're genuine. And when you meet with your family and your relatives and friends, You're a genuine guy. It rubs off. It makes you feel really good. But yet the Watchtower wants to get in and destroy something like that. That is despicable.
Exactly, Rick.
Yeah, despicable.
Yeah, exactly. Well, like Dan was saying, but I mean, their end result or their goal was to not celebrate holidays with family, friends, or going to a company function. Was to isolate you from the outside world. That's what it's all about, to keep control over you and keep you in check, keep you under their hand so they can control you furthermore and get your money. And that's the end result on that. I mean, I went to company after I left Watchtower, I went to company Thanksgiving dinners and stuff like that, and Christmas and everything else, and they didn't really even talk about the holiday. It was just a dinner, but if I was still going to Watchtower or still studying and going to meetings and everything else and Bible studies and out in service, I wouldn't have went, but I found that out on my own. But anyway, thank you.
Oh, thank you, Jeff.
Yeah.
But
I'll share one thing off of what Jeff said, Rick, real quick. Yeah, when those holidays come around, and whether it's a company, when I was at the company party, I experienced love for my craft, love for the work that I've done for the company, and a sincere handshake and an eye-to-eye. Thank you, Dan, for a wonderful year of service. You did a great job for us. That's the love we need. That's recovery. Those parties were recovery. The parties we have here, when the family comes together, is love. It's a love fest. Everybody loves, everybody tells stories, everybody catches up, and you think, wow, somebody still loves me, and they feel that way about us. And so it's interesting that the narcissist, Angela was married to one, and they wanted all the love themselves. Governing body wants all the attention, all the love, all the obedience, all the, they want you all. They will not share you. They're slave owners. And so, that's one thing we got to experience. And I think, like Jeff's right, they didn't want us to experience love of a relative that's outside the faith. All my relatives, now are outside the faith, but it was a love thing that I felt from them. Imagine if you were a witness, you go, wow, see, that's what got me and Angela out. Two worldly people loved on us and sucked us out. And so if we were to experience love outside of that organization, because they always say, oh, we're so loving, we're the loving group, we're this. What happens when we experience love outside? You don't want me to tell you what Angela said? Angela said, what is this love? Some lady gave her a bottle of Charlie perfume, and she goes, what is this? Why do you love me? Why? Why do you love me? I'm not. And she says, we're supposed to love you. I said the same thing to the lady who helped me. Why do you love me? Why do you and your husband love me? And the lady goes, that's what we're supposed to do. So the thing that got us out, and I think Watchtower knows this, is that if we can taste that love outside, we don't need the organization. You can live on love. I can live on love. Right? Amen. And so anyway, that's it. That's all I wanted.
But it's just principled love, Dan.
Yeah.
Everybody's got that. That doesn't make them good. I mean, it's just instinctual love, Dan.
Yeah.
I used to hear the elders pound that in to convince us worldly people are just instinctually loving. They're not really loving.
Right. That's right. But isn't that amazing? Me and Angela were so desperate for love in our cults, hers being worldwide, mine being a witnesses, that the tiniest morsel of love pushed over 40 years of brainwashing with one morsel of love. Watchtower don't want us to experience that love out there. They don't want us to get a hug from a stranger. They don't want somebody to look us in the eye and say, thank you, I love you. They don't want that. They're going to keep them separated and cut off. Now, I don't know what's going to happen long term. I don't know what's going to happen with the organization and how much they're going to let loose. Here's my prediction. My prediction is there's going to be another thing that happened, like with the COVID thing. I think if that happens, they're a sneeze away from losing all their Kingdom Halls, and they'll be totally online 100%. That's what my prediction is. If they have one more pandemic, anything that comes up, anything happens between now and Trump getting in, anything, one sneeze, I think they're one sneeze away from being 100% online. What do you guys think?
Hey, Rick, can I say something? Can I get 15 minutes too, like Dan did? Because I'm on the line way before.
Before we leave, he asked us what we think. They won.
Yeah.
So what do you
Can I
think?
get 15 minutes too?
I'll give you at least. I'll give you at least 3.
Well, that's not fair.
Well,
Is it?
Well, we'll give you some time. But anyways,
Well, anyway, it started with the Christmas thing, and you mentioned
Yes.
JW celebrating Christmas. And if you remember, Rick, because we're like the older generation JW, don't you remember that picture? I think it's from the 40s or something, of the Christmas tree in the Bethel cafeteria. They used to celebrate Christmas. Do you remember that?
Yeah,
I don't know what publication, but do you remember that?
Of course.
So what happened? What happened? It's like flip-flop, flip-flop. What scripture back in the day when they celebrated Christmas said it was okay? But then I was born in 1957. No Christmas. What scripture? What happened? What's the back and forth and back and forth? Needless to say, the witnesses are sneaky. They celebrate Thanksgiving if they want. They do Christmas. They do Halloween and all that stuff. But with the Christmas thing, they even had the picture of the Christmas tree in the cafeteria. So what happened? I mean, no, honestly, I'm asking an honest question. What happened? You can't read the Bible and say, oh, this says, because, JWs, we're the only true religion on earth. So they read, what scripture told them they could and what scripture couldn't, told them they couldn't. That's what I want to know.
Well,
honestly,
they're going to go with the light got brighter, and we realize that Christmas is a pagan holiday. And that's all. That's how they explain it, Shirley. That's it.
But that doesn't make. Well, what scripture? I mean, no. What scripture now? Back in the day, you know how some people said, we had Christmas lights on our house after they left, and the elders drive by the house to see the Christmas lights, and they're so vilified and stuff. But yet, back in the day, they celebrated. You can't do one thing in any religion, in my eye. You can't do one thing then change your mind, as the witnesses do, but you can't do one thing as major as Christmas back in the day, and now, no, you can't. I mean, that's the biggest one. I know they flip-flop, but that's the biggest one.
Well, I think this year, Shirley, you are going to see more Jehovah's Witnesses celebrating Christmas than ever before, and they might even do it on December 25th. But if not, it'll be prior to, a little afterwards. But the reason is because of that documentary movie they made about Jesus. The baby Jesus. It's showing the importance of his birth. They showed that at a convention this summer. So many witnesses are going to be very confused about that. We always learned as Jehovah's Witnesses that your death was more important than your birth. But yet at the convention this summer, they highlighted the birth of Jesus. So there's going to be many people, Jehovah's Witnesses, I believe, celebrating Christmas this year.
But back in the day, because they used to say, like we all know, December 25th, even like the witnesses use that word Christendom back in the day, they even realized that he could have been born on December 25th because the weather, blah, blah, blah. Even everybody else recognizes, even Muslims recognize that that is not the actual birth date of Jesus. So obviously that's what the witnesses, used to say, because I remember my mother saying that. So that's just such a major thing for that. They flip-flop back and forth at Christmas. That's a major thing for the witnesses to back in the day celebrate it, and now they don't. But witnesses, they celebrate this Thursday. They can buy the turkey, cook the turkey whenever they want, cook it the day after, eat it the day after, but you know what you're celebrating. Because I don't want to hear about a sale, because they know what they're doing. I know many witnesses that celebrate birthdays. Many witnesses, they do whatever they want. Witnesses, they're very sly about it, but they on the low, on the down low, but they do it kind of like a hush hush thing, but they celebrate. Because I grew up, my father was not a witness at that time, so my mother had the unbelieving mate. And so they always said the wife, do what the unbelieving mate wants. So we never had a tree, but I used to get presents from like godparents and friends and stuff like that. But that's just a major thing at all, because I remember my mother was saying that when, maybe 10, 20 years ago, even, the other religions were saying, Jesus couldn't have been born on the 25th of December, it's a code or whatever. So now other religions, they recognize that too, because I do tutoring and I have kids and I say, oh, so what are you doing for Christmas? And they say, oh, some of them have said, and it shocked me, said, oh, I don't celebrate Christmas. So of course my mind goes to the Kingdom Hall. So I say, do you go to temple or something like that? But they are Muslim. And Muslim children are just informed. They say the same things like JWs, like JW children. Oh, that's not even his real birthday, and blah, blah, blah. They're just as informed as the JW kids are. But I I'm not mad at them, because Muslim is a real religion and JWs is a cult the same age as a light bulb. So, I don't know if I don't know for a fact. I don't know if they have to go to the principal's office and sit for, Christmas, celebrations in the class. But I'm not mad at the Muslims for not celebrating, because that religion is much, much older than the JWs are. So,
I'm going to comment, Rick.
Go ahead, Michael. What do you have to say?
Yeah, how you doing? You sound a lot better, by the way.
Yeah, getting better.
You feel better?
Getting better, thank you. Yeah.
Good. Yeah, my mother was a devout Jehovah's Witness, as you know. I've told you that before, and we were raised that way. But when my sisters and I dropped out, after about 5 or 6 years, we started to celebrate Christmas. My mother, and not in a traditional fashion, just to get together. But it got more and more as we went on. But when I had my children, and we started to celebrate Christmas with my children, you couldn't find a devout, more Jehovah's Witness than my mother. But when I had my children, we started celebrating Christmas. My mother and father always came over for Christmas and celebrated. And she always said, "Don't tell the elders, don't tell the elders." So I wanted to say that at her funeral, by the way. But anyway. But she would celebrate big time. She brought my son his first electric Fender.
Can I ask what year that was, Mike? What year did your mother come over to your house? And what, like 70s, 60s, 80s? When around?
Let me see here. My mother's been dead for 10 years. So about 25, 30 years ago. Yeah.
Okay, like 90s, 80s, or we're talking?
Yeah, 80s and 90s. Yeah.
Yeah, because they were
in fact, I'm sitting here looking at a 12-string guitar that my mother brought me for Christmas right now.
Yeah.
And so she went. Now, as far as holidays, something you want to keep in mind, if somebody's listening and really interested, I know we know Jesus wasn't born on December 25th, but the Jewish people believe that birth starts at conception. And December 25th is something that's celebrated all around the world, And there's an interesting thing that happens about 9 months after December 25th, and that's the Feast of Tabernacles. And the Feast of Tabernacles is when God comes and dwells with his people here on earth. Now, isn't that amazing how that kind of lines up? Now, can I prove that factually? No, but I'm just looking at how they believe. Also in John 10:22, Jesus was at the Feast of Dedication. And the Feast of Dedication is the Hanukkah celebration. And it's a really, I celebrate Hanukkah. And I think that's an amazing holiday to celebrate. And if a person really wants to be blessed by the Holy Spirit, let me just suggest this right here. Take the amount of money that you want to spend, set it on the table, and pray that God leads you to put this money where it belongs. And then put that money in your pocket. Watch God direct you to the person. It's amazing. You let the Holy Spirit work through you. That's all I want to say, Rick. I want to thank you.
Well, thank you, Michael. You're a sincere person. We can really, really see that. You have a lot of passion, a lot of commitment, and you're a spiritual minded man. Thank you, Michael, for checking in. All right, let's see what's going on. Well, we've got a lot going on here. We had so many people call in. It's unbelievable, unbelievable. And I think that it's kind of neat that witnesses at least are moving aside from the Watchtower and beginning to say, "Look, I can celebrate a holiday." A lot of witnesses are doing that right now. So, witnesses, if you're listening to this program, don't worry about it. If you want to celebrate a holiday, and listen to Dan. When Dan came on, well, what is it all about? You know, it's nice to be able to get together on Thanksgiving, on Christmas, to be with family. Dan Clark summed it up really, really good. That's everything. What's more important than being with family? And the Watchtower has to step in and destroy that. Did you want to make one more comment, Shirley? You're on with us. Go ahead. Okay, I guess not. All right, listen, what we'll do.
No, Rick, I'm muted. I was muted until you asked. No, I was muted. I muted myself.
Okay. Did you want to just?
No, that was it. No, that's fine.
All right. Just want to leave you hanging. I told you I'd give you some time, so that was good. Thank.
Okay, that's fair.
All
That's
right.
fair. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Shirley. Thank you. All right. So, anyways, I mean, I don't have too much more news to talk about here, but I think we should go to the duck game. A lot of people are waiting for the duck game. So no one said the secret word tonight or anything that would resemble that. So we'll go with the duck game tonight, and we'll see if we can get some winners. We want you to win some books here. We want you to win the $100. We want you to be able to get some Watchtower magnets. So let's go to the game right now. Now, I want you to keep score yourself. I can't keep score for everybody, but I want you to keep score. If you answer the question, you get points. The first person that gets to 12 points gets $100. We've already paid $100 off to our good friend Nadine out in California. So I just wanted to bring that up, that I want you all to play the game, but let's play it fairly. We'll ask the question. We'll play the Jeopardy music. When the Jeopardy music stops, that means that you can then answer. All right, so let's ask the first question tonight and see if we can't get some winners. Okay, this is the question. Judge Rutherford, the second president of the Watchtower Bible and Tract Society, decided in 1935 to call their new constructed building a Kingdom Hall. So that was in 1935. What city and what state was it in? Where was the first Kingdom Hall? All right.
Honolulu, Hawaii.
Who got that? Did you punch that into the Google?
That's JP.
JP, did you know that on your own, or did you punch it into Google?
No, that's what you get when you watch the Watchtower History Channel.
All right, so you got it then. I mean, I'm not trying to, to question you, but okay, you take a point on that, JP. So how many points you get now?
I'm up to 8.
Up to 8. Boy, four away from $100. Could you use $100, JP?
Oh yeah.
All right. So, well, hopefully you can win. All right, let's do another one right now. All right. What movement influenced Charles Russell regarding 1914? What movement influenced Charles Russell regarding 1914? All right, what movement?
Millerite movement. Millerite movement.
There was a man on there first. I don't know if that was you, JP, or not, but was there a man on there that said, beside JP, Millerites. Who said that? I don't know. Maybe gotta give it to JP. Maybe gotta give it to JP. JP, I'm gonna give it to you. I think you were the one. Okay. Boy,
Okay, Rick.
boy, you're getting pretty good. You're gonna make Nadine jealous. Boy. All right. All right. All right. Let's hold your hand over the phone, everyone. Hold your hand over the phone. We gotta hold your hand over the phone. Hold your hand over the phone. It's too much noise going on. You gotta cool a little bit. Hold your hand over the phone. All right, let's ask another question here. Let's see what we got here. All right. Let's go with this. Rutherford believed his spiritual information came exclusively from what? Hold on 1 second. Let's get this up and playing.
Angels?
Is that you, JP?
Yes, sir.
Wow, you got it again. Where you getting all your information?
At the Charles Taze Russell University,
Yeah. Oh, well, you're doing very good. Very good. So how many points you get now?
I think that's 10, right?
I think you're up to 10.
Whoa.
Yeah,
I'm up to 10.
All right. Couple more, you get $100. Couple more, you get $100. All right. So let's ask another question. Hold on 1 second here. All right. What year did the door-to-door ministry start? What year did the door-to-door ministry start? Okay, let's do this. Let's. What year?
1941. 1923?
1941.
Nope.
Oh, bummer.
1923?
Nope.
1936.
Nope. It goes way back. Way back.
Oh.
1914.
No.
1919.
No, I'll give it to you.
1881?
I'll give it to you. The answer.
Judge Rutherford started that.
The answer is 1872. That's when the door-to-door ministry started. Yeah, that's. I didn't know that either till I did some research here on that. All right, so that's kind of good. All right, let's see if we got one more here. I got a bunch here. Let's go back here. Let's check one more. All right. Okay. All right. Here's the next question. What important Watchtower official publicly confessed demons possessed him? What important Watchtower official publicly confessed that demons possessed him?
Brother Nor?
Who was that?
Fred Friend?
All right. Who? What public official of the Watchtower actually admitted he was demon possessed?
Brother Nor?
Fred Friend?
No. All right. His name was Clayton J. Woodworth. He was the editor of the Golden Age, and he did say that he was demon possessed. Isn't that something? All right. Well, sorry. I mean, I didn't want to make them too hard, but maybe next week, JP. Or how many points you got, Nadine?
I have 9.
And JP has 10.
I came in late.
Came in-
came in late because
All
yeah,
right.
because I was at a memorial service.
Well, that's okay. I mean, that's all right.
Yeah, so I just came in at the very, very last
Well,
part. 'Cause I didn't want to miss it. I didn't want to miss it.
Well, thank you. So maybe next week, Nadine or JP, you're very close. We'll see who can win the $100. Well, thank you, Nadine. Thank you, JP. Thank you for all you people who played the game tonight. We want to thank all the people who called in tonight as well.
Thank you, Rick.
We really do. We had a good time here tonight. We love to expose the Watchtower, and I think it's only a matter of time, and we're going to see this organization going down the drain. So thank you for joining with us, and I want you guys to keep standing tall, keep standing up straight. Don't you ever give in, up or out. And the last one, leaving the Watchtower, please turn off the new light. Friends, there's no JW World News tomorrow. There's no Sunday program. It'll be back a week from tomorrow. So thank you for being with us tonight. Stay tuned now. We have Eric coming in from Nashville, Tennessee with the program Awakening After the Watchtower. Stay with us. Thank you.